The elders of my people say that when you die, you walk the dreaming paths until you find your purpose. I have been walking for some time. I am Kavi, last of my clan. The mercenaries who slaughtered my people thought they had slain me as well. It would seem it is more complicated. When I awoke among my fallen kin, something had changed. The hollowness inside me suggests I am not entirely alive, caught between life and death. In the tales of my people, such a fate is reserved for those chosen to right great wrongs. No one remains who could tell such tales, so I will write my own epic in the blood of my enemies and score it with their screams and cries. It seems a strange and somewhat harsh gift for one meant to achieve such glory, but I am merely a piece of the dreaming, not the dreamer themselves. I understand it was not the mercenaries who were truly responsible. They were merely tools, somewhere. There are those who wanted the lands my people freely roamed for centuries, who gave the orders. Those who stole for themselves that which belongs to no one. These are my true targets. To be clear, I will of course slay each and every mercenary as well on the way to my true vengeance. Mercy is among the virtues I no longer possess among the hollowness inside my chest. Admittedly, the path of an undead nemesis is not one of mirth or merriment. However, this troubles me not. It may surprise you, but my sense of humor was never my strongest trait. I digress, and am delaying the more glory and vengeance-filled part of the tale. After wandering for months, I was captured by slavers. Unsurprisingly, they were to a one human. I lived in a cage for some time. It troubled me not. If this was the path the dreaming laid out before me, it was the path I must walk. Or rather, sit or crouch. The slaver's cage was rather compact and squat. They needed to stack it on other slave cages and put them all on wagons. The operation was actually quite efficient. Human ingenuity is often in direct proportion to the needs of human cruelty. That was something the tiny gnome who was incarcerated in the cage stacked below mine on the wagon would often say. That is, before the slavers executed him using an apparatus they called the waning Pegasus. That was, as much as I hate to admit it, actually quite creative. I never knew one so small and lithe could make such loud shrieks. Then one day at a slave market, an old human explorer purchased me, but to my surprise, he freed me and asked me to be his scout. He spoke the tongue of my people, so I lived in his world without learning the strange words and disgusting grunts humans call Kom En Tong. For some time we adventured together, and I lived in his strange and large house. The dreaming path even led me to find and slay several of the mercenaries who murdered my family and friends. All was good. When one exists on the fine meridian between life and death, the waning of good fortune is never a surprise, and when one lives among humans, it is almost a certainty. The concept of money is an important one to humans. It is a way for the weak yet cunning who have no glory and no honor to hold sway over the mighty. When the old explorer died, his debtors came. They found an elf in his home who couldn't speak their language and assumed I was property. Apparently, being enslaved twice is quite the accomplishment, even among my ancestors. Thankfully, the dreaming paths saw that I spent only a short time in a cage. This one was a large cage where I was mixed in with other slaves. I preferred it to the small, stackable cages. For one, fights among the slaves were common, and nothing passes the time like dislocating the jaw of a braggart. Soon after being enslaved, some humans purchased me with a promise. Work off 1,000 gold pieces of debt on Oasis, an island somewhere, and earn freedom. I am not entirely sure what an island is, but I am told we are to travel upon something they tell me is like a massive lake to get there. Regular lake or massive lake, I am unable to swim. The dreaming paths have a strange sense of humor. I do not know what awaits me on this island, but this is where the dreaming path is leading. I go knowing my ancestors will guide me, and for any occasion where neither can be of aid, my great axe and the screams of my dying enemies will be my salvation.
A life tip from Lyle the Cunning: when stealing from the rich, stick to their gold, not their wives. Especially when the rich bloke turns out to be a rich thief. I know. It's probably hard to grok the difference, eh? One thing you need to know about Lyle the Cunning off the jump: I have only one weakness, and that's money. Oh, and women, I suppose. Yeah. Also, stealing. True, I love that. Love me a bit of stealing. I do. Oh, and skullduggery, pickpocketing, pilfering. Yes, all of those. So, really just all those various, crimes. You know what? If I'm being absolutely truthful, I do adore mischief in its many wonderful forms. Cannot resist it. Maybe it's a halfling thing? Yeah, dunno. Right, I suppose that's several weaknesses, isn't it? Ah, well, no one's perfect, yeah? Well, I suppose that's as good an illustration as any of the hows and whys that led me around the bend into this right manticore's nest of a situation, isn't it? It definitely sets the stage, as they say. Right, so where was I? Ah, yes, the Guildmaster's wife. That's what I call this little chapter of things. Guildmaster Thorpe had everything. The biggest heists, the best hideouts, and a treasury that would make a dragon envious. He was the king of the underworld in 3 districts. And me, I was just another lockpick in his collection. A talented one, mind you, and an obviously handsome one, but still just a cog in his criminal machine. Oh, right! Lockpicking! Right. Yeah, that's another weakness right there. Love a good lockpicking. Then I met his wife at the guild's winter gala. Esmeralda Thorpe, half his age, twice his wit, and with a smile that could unlock more than just doors. Turns out she had quite the fascination with halflings. It started with just delivering messages for her. Then private dinners while the guildmaster was away. Then, well, let's just say I was invited for breakfast the night before, if you know what I mean. And second breakfast. And 11sies. And, well, you get the idea, eh? I knew it was dangerous. But when a beautiful woman looks at a halfling the way she looked at me, how was I supposed to resist? 3 months of secret hookups. 3 months of living dangerously. 3 months of access to her jewelry boxes. 3 months of access to her safe filled with platinum ingots. I mean, I was having an affair. I wasn't dead. Trust me, friend. This will definitely not be the last time you hear me say this, but I should have known better. The perfect trap has the perfect bait. Turns out, Esmeralda had a regular rotation of guild thieves she would seduce, then report to her husband. A test of loyalty, she called it. Everyone else had passed by refusing her advances. Me dear old mam would tell you first. I was never good at tests. The little one actually thought I found him charming, she told Thorpe as guild enforcers grabbed me. That hurt worse than the beating that followed. Who hits a hobbit anyway? 1,000 gold pieces. That's what the old bastard said I owed him for my indiscretion. Could have just killed me, I suppose, so maybe I got off easy. Hard to come up with that much jink when you're a simple wee halfling from the Lindenshire making a name in the big city, right? I mean, sure, there is all the loot I snatched from Esmeralda's various hidey holes, but that's for my retirement. Besides, if they found out that I had made off with all of that shiny on top of what I pulled, I think I'd be most probably cut into even smaller pieces and fed to woe and misery. Fed to woe and misery isn't some quaint halfling saying, those are Thorpe's dogs. Giant fucking dogs they are. So, indentured servitude on some fancy island called Oasis it is. Not sure how long it's going to take to pay off my debt. But hey, lots of rich people, beautiful tropical paradise, and plenty of pockets to pick, yeah? Halflings are a glass half full type of folk, so you won't find me complaining, no boyo. The sun makes everything that much better. You know, even exploitative work practices that border on slavery.
Okay, Tizzy, this is your chance to prove yourself. No more academic disasters, no more wild magic surges in inappropriate places. Just be, normal. Well, normal for a fairy. Ugh, which isn't very normal at all, I suppose. Hi there, I'm Artizia Lunelia Glimmerwind Moonshadow III, but please call me Tizzy. Everyone does, especially after they've seen what happens when I get, nervous. Dad never really knew what to do with me, but he did know one thing, the importance of education. First, I trained as a scribe, and not to brag, but my handwriting was magnificent, you guys. Books never looked prettier. But Dad had bigger plans for me. The School of Applied Arcane Studies and Arithmancy at Olden Tower, home of the Displacer Beasts. Go Beasts! You'll never see them coming. So, probably the first and maybe only real lesson I learned there was, it turns out having natural fairy magic and actually learning structured spellcasting are two completely different things. Who knew? 8 years into a 4-year program, and yeah, I'm still working on the basics. Professor Grimwater said I was extraordinary. Well, specifically, it's extraordinary that Tizzy can cast spells at all. That's a compliment, right? I think he's had it out for me since I couldn't even make it through fundamentals of focused prestidigitation without turning Professor Grimwater's beard into a bigger beard. Well, I mean, it was a bigger beard, sure, but it was a bigger beard of bees twice in the same class. That definitely wasn't the assignment. Yeah, I don't know if the bees were angry just by nature or if the bees were angry because they were forced onto the professor's face against their will, but angry bees are angry bees, and those are not something you want, right up there against your face. I do know that Professor Grimwater was angry both by nature and because of having a bigger beard of bees on his face. I mean, he was a pretty sour fellow mostly, but I really think it was the bees in particular that time. Yes. Crystalline Starweaver made sure everyone knew I was the disappointment of Dormitory Hall. Look, everyone, it's Dizzy Tizzy. Don't stand too close or you might grow antlers. Again, it wasn't my fault. The magic just happens. I didn't ask to be born with wild magic instead of the boring, structured stuff everyone else does. It all came to a spectacular end during the midwinter illumination ceremony. I was just supposed to light one candle. One! How was I supposed to know it would cause a chain reaction that lit all the candles in the spell components repository? And that those candles would light, all the flammable and explosive spell components in the spell components repository. And then that explosion would cause a wild magic surge that, teleported bigger beards of bees, remember them, onto the faces of everyone in a 500-foot radius. Anyway, besties, on top of all of that, property damage, it turns out magical education is just, really expensive. And apparently Dad's import-export business has hit hard times on the import and/or export side. And several years of outstanding tuition need to be paid immediately. Outstanding sounds like a good thing, but apparently it isn't. All I know is I need 1,000 gold pieces today. 1,000 gold pieces of debt. I had no idea where I was going to find that kind of money. Like what? Sell my collection of rare silver buttons? Cash out all my shares in gumdrop futures? Then Crystalline Starweaver suggested I try indentured servitude. Sounds so sophisticated, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. On paper, it sounds like, I guess in a way, slavery. But when I hear it out loud, indentured servitude, yeah, it just sounds so imperious. So here I am, heading to Oasis as indentured security. Security, me. I mean, I can definitely protect people. As long as they don't mind occasional spontaneous feather growth or, a bigger beard of, bees. So, go Beasts.
Ogmal Wisebreaker, Knight. Currently serving as babysitter. I am certain one might call my current charge bodyguard, but that job tends to come with more combat and much less hospitality. Lord Thrain Ironvein requires constant attention. His parasol, his medicine, his cushions, his all-bacon and ale diet. I was unaware that there were different cuts of bacon. Lord Thrain insists that, as it turns out, there are several. These include slabs sliced, streaky, from the belly, back, from the loin, and middle, combining back and streaky, each offering a distinct flavor and texture. He described each in great detail, including a vivid elucidation about something called mouthfeel. It was one of the few times his chronic cough seemed to disappear. Verily, his countenance appeared decades younger as he spoke. His mining lung makes the sea air positively murderous, as he puts it. His wife, Lady Helga, dotes upon him endlessly. though mostly as a source of morale rather than as someone performing the actual task or action of doting. And Lady Helga insists I handle her luggage with utmost care. Apparently those trunks contain her second favorite gemstone collection. Watching over Lord Thrain and Lady Helga's journey to the estuaries, and from there on to Oasis, is not the most glorious of details. But I find myself in no position to complain. Truth be told, it is a punishment, and a fair one for an error in judgment. The Stonefist Consortium hired me for my size and strength, but valued me for my judgment. My ancestors' storm giant blood grants me more than just height. It gives me the perspective of one who sees beyond the immediate horizon, or so I thought. It was for my sound percipience as much as my martial and divine skills that I was selected to lead a caravan for the mining company. We were transporting a shipment of mithril ore worth a small fortune through the craggy foothills of the Snow Peak Mountains. Our regular route was blocked by a landslide. The foreman wanted to take the mountain pass, quicker, but known for bandit attacks. I insisted on the river route. It would be safer, I thought. Protected by my oaths, guided by my honor. The storm came without warning. Given my ancestors, I should have sensed it. The shipment was lost, 1,000 gold pieces of mithril ore gone because of my decision. My oath demands I seek glory and honor in all things. Unfortunately, glory and profit do not always align. The consortium was understanding to a degree. My record had been exemplary, but business is business. The debt must be paid. They offered me a path to redemption, escort Master Ironvein, one of their investors, and his wife, Helga, to Oasis. The dry climate is supposedly therapeutic for his condition. After delivery, I am to work security on the island until my debt is cleared. My oath demands I seek glory and redemption. For the next little while, it seems glory will take the form of carrying parasols and frying bacon. Not all legendary tales begin with slaying dragons.
Guarazar, rosy to most, currently trying to avoid being recognized by every bounty hunter in the land. Rangers live between worlds, civilized enough to mingle within the cities, yet wild enough for the deep forests. Being a shifter means I have advantages that many others of my vocation do not. For 10 years, I guided merchants, nobles, and adventurers through the places they feared to travel alone. I knew every trail, every predator's territory, every hidden danger from the Silverpine Range to the Blackmire Swamps. The wilderness doesn't lie. It doesn't pretend to be something it's not. People, however. Lord Bartholomew Pennington, self-styled collector of natural wonders, wealthy beyond reason with the kind of smile that never finds a home in the eyes. He hired me to track and capture a unicorn, alive and unharmed. I refused initially. Of course I did. Unicorns aren't meant for captivity. But Pennington insisted his private sanctuary had acres of enchanted forest, the finest arcane caretakers, and a commitment to preservation. Future generations may never see such creatures, he said, unless enlightened men preserve them now. 3 weeks of tracking. The unicorn knew I was there, they always do. But I was patient. When I finally approached, I spoke the old words, showed respect. Somehow I convinced it to follow. I believed I was doing something good. A ranger should know better. Pennington paid me handsomely. Invited me to return in a month to see how the creature was thriving. I should have known when he refused to let me see this supposed sanctuary before departing. 1 month later, I returned. The butler led me to Pennington's Hall of Natural Wonders, and there it was. The unicorn's luminescent hide stretched on the wall, its head-mounted horn and all on a silver plaque. Its eyes replaced with vacant glass facsimiles that still managed to stare accusingly at me. Dozens of rare creatures. Griffins, displacer beasts, even a young dragon, all slaughtered and displayed. Pennington called it his conservation effort, said these creatures were preserved eternally, rather than lost to time. He actually expected me to be impressed. He kept talking about his next acquisition, a winter wolf pack. Asked if I would track them for double my usual fee. That's when something in me shifted. I don't remember much after that. Just the feeling of my claws connecting with expensive tapestries, the crash of glass display cases, and fire. Lots of fire. Pennington survived, unfortunately, but only because I hadn't wanted to kill him. Only hurt him where someone like him would actually feel it. Perhaps he would learn something, I thought. In response, he put a 1,000 gold piece bounty on my head, dead or alive. Preferably dead. I spent months in the wilds, moving constantly. Rangers know how to disappear, but even we need supplies occasionally. That's when I met her. An old woman. Camping perhaps, or living alone, deep in the whispering woods. She knew who I was, knew about the bounty. Before I could ask how, she told me about Oasis, a place where debts could be paid and pasts forgotten. Said a ship would be leaving from the estuaries in 3 days. When I asked why she was helping me, she just smiled. Why is it that humans do that? Is it to seem clever? If I didn't want an answer, I wouldn't ask a question. It's very frustrating. But there was nothing for it. Taking the unasked-for smile and a contract, I was on my way. So here I am. Indentured servitude on Oasis in exchange for clearing my name. Taking orders among contemporaries of Lord Pennington instead of the freedom of the road. Still better than a hangman's noose, I suppose.
The waters flow to this place and open into the massive lake I was told about. The town, its inhabitants, everything about it is surprisingly garish and self-impressed, given the overall rough and unwashed denizens who call it home. The ancestors would find such vanity puzzling. Anything desperate to believe it is important rarely is.
The estuaries, the bestuaries now, according to all these ridiculous signs. New mayor's got an ego bigger than his coffers by the look of things. Though I did hear his daughter has a collection of exotic jewelry that would make a halfling's fingers itch. Aye, nothing like a town trying too hard to impress. Makes for easy pickings.
Oh my gosh, this place is so much bigger than I imagined. And just so, basic. And they know it smells really, they can smell that dead fishy rotting ocean smell, right? Well, Tizzy, here you are in the estuaries, though I guess it's the bestuaries now. This Mayor Best guy certainly loves his puns. Such a vibrant place, so many people, so many things I shouldn't accidentally enchant.
A trading hub of moderate strategic importance. Though according to the rather grandiose new signage, it now styles itself the Bestuaries after its newly elected mayor. A curious allocation of municipal resources. A town that changes its name on the whim of one man may not be built on the most stable foundations of governance. Oh, mustn't tarry. Lord Thrain becomes positively despondent if he doesn't get his noon bell's bacon sandwich.
The bestuaries. The more a town advertises its greatness, the more desperate it usually is. Perfect place to hire desperate people for dangerous work.
The various humans I handed this parchment I cannot read directed me to this place.
Hey, that is one scary elf lady. Hard to miss someone painted up like a clown from the abyss, eh? Not the typical indentured servant type, but what do I know?
This halfling has the look of someone who regularly separates others from their valuables. He refrains from hiding it, however. I respect his honesty about his dishonesty.
Oh my, a super intimidating elf and a cute halfling. Maybe this won't be so bad after all.
It would seem that my fellow slaves are all small or tiny creatures. This flying one will either get us all killed or save us in ways we cannot anticipate. There will be no middle ground.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what me dear old mam said about fairies and if they're good luck on sea voyages or no.
Whoa, he's enormous.
Now that's a big fellow. Could probably use him as shelter in a rainstorm. Seems like he wouldn't crush me for it either. Well, not right away anyway.
3 individuals with completely different backgrounds, all looking as out of place as I am.
And finally, Mr. Mysterious slinking in from the shadows. Cat-like eyes, always looking for exits. Definitely running from something. I like him already.
Oh, he has the most fascinating markings. I wonder if they're natural or magical natural, or... Boy, you just never get used to the smell of this place, do you? Is it just me?
The ranger's eyes assessed each of us in turn. A survivor, someone who knows the wilds.
An unusual group. But then again,
Those with ordinary pasts.
And clean records.
And perfect lives.
And unblemished honor.
don't end up in a situation like this one.